Well, first of all, thank you very much, Sensei, and welcome everybody. I enjoyed that first class very, very much. Did you? Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. I enjoyed it very much. And today we're going to be focused on training. So I'm not going to talk very much. In fact, the training that Wolf Sensei did, hopefully, has put you in a very, very calm, relaxing state already. And I'm going to show you just a couple of slides, and then we're going to spend the whole time doing breathing and meditation. So for some of you, you may not like that at all, because I'm going to ask you to really consult your own experience. So Freiling Sensei, if you're there, I'm going to go ahead and just start with a little bit of an introduction to set the stage. So this is the young Toi Sensei, my teacher. And for those of you I know who are here from other disciplines, that is Aikido disciplines, Aikikai, Iwama, Yoshinkan. Toi Sensei was the chief instructor of Aikikai for 22 years. And so there's a rich, rich connection here between our training. And I'm really grateful to share today and to let us practice together really the core of Toi Sensei's teaching and spirituality. Could I have the next slide, please? So we know the motto. This might read a little bit differently. Most of you know in March of 2003, I had the pleasure of working with Toi Sensei for 4 days on translating the Shokushu. But as many of you know, we started with a blank sheet of paper. And all I want to do today is focus on the first sentence, because that's pretty much the core. So if you pull out the Shokushu, the first one says motto. But in the spirit of our sitting together, imagine sitting with Toi Sensei with a blank sheet of paper, not the original Japanese to retranslate it. I said, well, Sensei, what do you mean by motto? Motto might mean different things to different people. He said, well, it's the purpose of our study. So I'm adding it here. This is what Toi Sensei said. So we know, let us experience the universal mind. Actually, in the translation we have now, it says, let us have a universal mind. So imagine me sitting across the table from Toi Sensei, and I said, Sensei, what do you mean have? What do you mean by have? Like, it's not really a possession. And he said, well, to make this training your own. And the words we were using was a kigatsuku, which means like a gee whiz, an aha moment. So I asked people to review that interview or podcast or whatever it was with Miles Kessler, trained in Iwama. And I did that so that people could understand more who is Toi Sensei and what about the 4 basic principles. And I explained in that Toi Sensei was really a man of modernity, quite in contrast with his teacher, Morihei Ueshiba. By modernity, I mean he was a man of science, and he wanted to develop a pedagogy. Starting, the vision hit him when he was 17 years old, sick in bed with pleurisy, reading and memorizing the work Sai Kanton, imagining the triple sage, the Confucian sage, the Taoist priest, and the enlightened Buddhist all in one. And his aim was to discover this, to experience that for himself, and then teach the world. That was his vision. And so with that vision, you know, they say in spiritual trainings, when the student is ready, the teacher shows up. Well, here he was memorizing Sai Kon Ton in bed, recovering from pleurisy. And his sister says, oh, you're interested in spirituality. I found this book at the bookstore. Gave it to him, and it was by Ogura Sensei, one of the last students of Yamo Kateshu. And that led him to Ichikukai. Ogura Sensei founded Ichikukai, where we learned Misogi, Sokushin no Gyo, one of our 5 disciplines. But the whole idea here is that Toi Sensei wanted to teach others. So today, my goal is to possibly allow you to experience perhaps a deeper level of calmness than you have in your whole life, to just taste it. Just maybe if it's just for a second. And that's why we're going to focus on doing and not talking so much in this class. So let us experience what? What is a universal mind? That's reisation, a universal mind. And then he says that loves and protects all creation. That's a phrase that O Sensei always said, Banyu Aigo. And Toi Sensei said he wrote that as a tribute to one of his 3 teachers, O Sensei. So it's right there in the first line, love and protect all creation. Why? Because when you experience a universal mind, you're experiencing your original oneness with the universe itself. And with that kind of taste, what do? Well, we serve others. We help all things grow and develop. So in this one sentence, the focus is, let's experience this for ourselves. What is this? He calls it absolute thinking, not relative thinking, to experience oneness itself. So let's go to the next slide just to underscore how these first 2 principles are at the core. We won't go into this, but Toi Sensei also develops 10 rules, 10 guidelines to develop your character, to develop your life with Ki. And the first ones, develop Reisei, a universal mind. And Banyu Aigo, love all creation, the second one. And actually, if you really understand deeply, experience deeply, what is reisation? What does that have to do with your original connection to all things in this universe? Hence Banyu Aigo, literally the 10,000 things. This is the essence, this is the core, and that's what I want to focus on today. Next slide, please, Rich. So in fact, you've seen this before, when I was writing, I guess, my own version of Ki in Daily Life, Living with the Wind at Your Back, the first chapter is this first one, Reisation, the art of preparation. And chapter number 2 is the art of compassion, Banyu Aigo. There's a lot of words and concepts in here that I'm not going to explain now. I just borrowed this from one of our classes last year. But I'm just saying, this is what we want to experience. How do you experience a universal mind? Compassion will become the result of that. But in the world we live in today, I think we could use a nice class here, building on Wolf Sensei's class, and just allow us to experience in a gradual way, a lead-in to both Ki meditation and Ki breathing. Next slide, please. So also, I'm just underscoring the same principles where you see it again in the Tenshin Gosho in our meditation dojo at our headquarters in Tochigi, Japan. We see this phrase on the shomen, Shimpo Uchire Kanno Sokogenjo. Well, Uchire, there it is again, universal mind, universal spirit. So basically, Shimpo, blessed universe, universal spirit, Uchire. Kanno means feeling or reply. Soku is a grammatical word. It just means what comes before it and after it is interpenetrates. And then Genjo means to be present. So this is a poem Toi Sensei wrote on the Shomen. And this is what we're experiencing today. This is what we want to do today. You want to taste, what is this? What does this mean to get out of your own way and experience deep connection? That's all. Next slide, please. So here in Greenville, we have Heiseiji. I wish I could come to you from there, but with COVID, our Heiseiji, the place of peace, is not open right now. But those of you, most of you on this call, I think, have had the pleasure of sitting and breathing and meditating here when we have our seminars down here in Greenville. It's a nice image to have. Next slide. And you might recall that this same poem is written here at the Shomen of Heiseiji. So next slide, please. This is Toi Sensei's calligraphy of the same. Shimpo Uchure Kanno Soku Genjo. So that's what we're doing here today. It's that simple. Next slide, please. So for this class, I've made a decision to leave this slide up the whole time. So I'm going to talk about it just a little bit. And then I'm going to explain why I'm going to have it up the whole time. And I'm going to give you prompts. So actually, Wolf Sensei used this slide, put up a version of this slide in his talk before. So I want to explain that this template is something that Toi Sensei helped me to develop, or we did it together in 1979. So what's that, 42 years ago? No, even more than that, 52 years ago? A long time ago. And he did it. We were working with Saigon Ton and various Buddhist texts, but I found over the years, this is the simplest, most elegant way to explain the process of what do you need to do to get out of your own way to experience realization. Third order body-mind awareness. That's what this is called. Third order body-mind awareness. It means your awareness of the oneness of body and mind is the least in this mode of awareness. Because your mind is so busy, it's monkey mind. Your consciousness is always directed from subject to object. That's how it appears to us living in our bodies. But our bodies are just a vehicle that can get you in a lot of trouble in terms of sedimenting and habituating a worldview that Toi Sensei would just say is relative thinking, not absolute thinking. So instead of fighting this, so third order awareness, there's no reason to fight that. This is our natural state. This is how we are 99.9% of the time. So I'm going to start, I'm going to give you a series of 7 steps here. We'll end about 2:30 and then have time for questions, but I'm going to give you a 7-step process that's good for a beginner. It's going to be, might be really frustrating for a beginner, but it's going to help you to learn yourself. Because following Toi Sensei's example on how to teach, his whole pedagogy is based on the following fact. He's asking us, I'm asking you for this session to allow your mind and body to be a laboratory for your own self-discovery. Wolf Sensei did a marvelous job teaching us and guiding us with a calm voice and clear breathing. And it's a beautiful thing, but this is different in two important ways. Guided meditation is great because it helps us, you can follow the thread, the single thread that the instructor is giving us, leading us to a state of deep calmness. But what we want to do is feel empowered that we know how to achieve states of deep relaxation on our own, so that at any time during the day, no matter what the conditions, if we can pause ourselves, quiet ourselves, become non-reactive, it's hard to do. But if we can, we know that we don't need the tape, we don't need the CD, we don't need the class, we don't need the mat, we don't need the dojo, because you yourself can change your state. Wolf Sensei mentioned this specifically. He said in 2 minutes, you can change your state if you just understand the process. So we're going to start out with a process, and I'm not going to tell you what the 7 steps are. I want them to be prompts. And what I mean by that is we'll stay with the prompt until I give you another prompt. And all I'm going to ask you to do is focus on the things that I'm asking you to focus on. In the first prompt, you'll have an opportunity to experience and make friends with third order body mind awareness, where you're going to allow your mind to jump around. Then I'm going to introduce a series of prompts, all of which I'm asking you to think about the X, that is the object of your second order intentional experience, is just the one thing that I'm asking you to think about. Now your mind will move. Your mind will wander. Why? Because your mind wants to go to third order. I'm just saying, I'm going to try to lead this in a very friendly, kind, gradual manner. And if you can just make friends with the instruction that I'm giving and allow yourself to experience the silence in between, that's why I'm going to lead this slide up the whole time. Because when your mind wants to wander, you'll see what you're really trying to do is focus on a second order state. And I'm going to change the thing that will be the object of your concentration. Your mind wants to move. And that's why in meditation practices, East and West, the object of your meditation is dynamic, not static. A mantra is a sound that continues. A mudra is a series of hand postures that continue in a sequence. That's the thread of the second order experience. A mandala, an image, a picture used for meditation, has different symbols in it, usually, not usually, always. You just have to learn what is the mandala's message. And then you allow your mind, as you're looking at that mandala, to follow the thread, oftentimes of different bodhisattvas. But the whole point in meditation is it's a singular thread. Ki breathing and ki meditation has a singular thread too. And I'm going to be giving you those threads as a series of prompts. First order body-mind awareness looks like a picture of raceation. You have lost subject-object experience. You are the experience. As Toi Sensei said, you will experience that you are the universe and the universe is you. And the funny thing is, you're that way anyway, you just haven't noticed yet. So meditation and ki breathing are easy ways to begin to notice. First of all, you're not moving. So Toi Sensei says, it's easier to coordinate mind and body when you're sitting or standing still than when in motion. So we're going to sit very, very still for some time. And we're going to sit with our mind and body unified. So following all of the good Shisei, the posture recommendations of Wolf Sensei, I'd like you to sit up in your chair with your feet on the floor, your legs at 90 degrees. And you're following the 4 basic principles. You're just keeping one point. The last thing I want to say here is something different from what Wolf Sensei was teaching, and it's very important. When we get to Ki meditation, and I think you all know this is Kino Totsuho, practicing infinite smallness, and Kino Kakudaiho, practicing infinite largeness. This is just the process of reducing, condensing by half. So we say half, 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 nibun no ichi, nibun no ichi, nibun no ichi. Half, 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 infinite smallness, and then infinite largeness with the whole universe. What I want to share with you is those are the same, because the whole point of infinite smallness is to go to a place where you cannot conceptualize an X. There is no X smaller. You've already done your smallest X, a molecule, the nucleus, electrons, whatever your understanding of science is, you're going to half that again and again and again until your brain cannot conceive of anything in particular. No thing in particular is a first order experience. And infinite largeness, you're going from yourself, the United States, the Earth, the solar system, galaxies, as deep as you can imagine, go beyond that, and it's the same, because you have lost the ability to conceptualize an X of anything larger than these spinning galaxies. You continue. So what you're doing is you're letting go of any conscious effort whatsoever. And what you're left with is a qualitatively different experience. Qualitatively. The first 2 are quantitative differences. One's real busy and one's focused. But when you begin to taste the ground of the possibility of all of your conscious, intentional experience for the first time in your life, maybe, you get behind the veil of all of your habits, all of your subconscious habits, all of the sense of personal identity. And you're very, very present. So when you begin to think this, here's the difference that I wanted to mention from what Wolf Sensei was mentioning this morning. When you imagine that your one point is the center of the universe, of course we mean from your perspective, just like these arrows, from you're living your life in your head, in your body, basically. But when you conceive of that the universe is a limitless sphere with a limitless radius, it means all directions. And this is very important for this Ki meditation and Ki breathing. It's easy for us to think infinitely up towards the sky, infinitely to my right and to my left. But it's harder for us to conceptualize infinity going through the earth. But I want you to imagine that you're just sitting on this earth, spinning and going around the sun. We're moving. It's not the center of the universe. We're sitting here on earth. So what I want you to do is when you're conceptualizing this half, 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 forget about the earth. Forget about being rooted or grounded. Because what that does is it's just mimicking relative thinking. I'm here standing on the earth, which is solid, but I can see all this space in all these directions. Try to let go of even that. So that's when Toi Sensei would always say, we're really floating. We're not pressing down in the ground. Keeping one point is floating. It's the center of the universe. It's not the center of gravity and then it falls onto your feet. That feels strong, it feels grounded and rooted, but that's still an attachment to relative thinking. So I'm going to ask you to conceive of yourself as truly the center of the universe in all directions. So when we do Chu Shu Ho, infinite smallness, see yourself as truly the center of the universe. And you're letting go of all the things mentally that cause separation, that cause you to see the world in a dual way. It can be quite amazing when you taste this. And the whole idea is, can you make this a part of your vocabulary all the time? That's why we train. That's why we practice. That's why, even though this might be frustrating, allow yourself to just be with your feelings here. Okay, I'm going to take you through, as I said, 7 prompts. 3 of them, are exercises right out of Living with the Wind at Your Back, 2, 8, and 9, sitting in silence and key breathing and key meditation. But I'm going to add some things to make it even more gradual, more friendly. And if it's possible to see people, that's okay. We'll just begin. So what I'd like you to do is simply sit up in your chair. Be completely silent. You can have your eyes half open. The idea is we're not going anywhere else. I want you to be aware of your surroundings. And all I want you to do is just watch your thoughts. Just observe. Let them come. Let them go. They're not good. They're not bad. They're fine. You're just watching and witnessing the movement of your mind. Okay, let's begin. Now I'd like you to move from a third order state to a second order state, meaning there's just one thing I'd like you to think about, and that's your breath going in and out. That's all. Keep one point and just observe your natural breathing, whatever is happening right now. If your mouth is closed, then in and out is through your nose or anything in between. We're doing nothing right now but just watching ourselves breathe naturally. That's all. Next, I'd like you to follow your breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just naturally, not intentionally, just in and out. Your breathing has become longer without trying. while not disturbing this calmness, I'd like you to breathe deeply in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when you exhale, make a soft audible sound of AH, the mother sound. In through your nose and out. Follow your own rhythm. Next, we let go of our breath completely. As you sit, imagine the key of the universe surrounding you in all directions, supporting your heartbeat, your lungs, your blood flow. All this is happening without your conscious attention. So now just feel that connection. An infinite gathering from all around you in all directions. This condensed becomes your one point. And this condensed never becomes zero. Half, half, half. You are the universe, and the universe is you. And now the thread is Kino Kakudaiho, infinite expansion, infinite largeness. From those smallest states to your one point, to your body, to the room, to your state, to your nation, to the earth, to the solar system, to the Milky Way, things that are hard to imagine, so don't. Just, it's larger, 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 let it go. This is your original and natural state. And finally now, just sit. Just keep one point. Kino Totsuho, infinite smallness, is the same as Kino Kakudaiho, infinite largeness. At night, when all is quiet and calm, do this alone, and you will feel that you are the universe and the universe is you. It will lead you to the supreme ecstasy of experiencing for yourself. You cannot help but be one with the universe. Just be present. And now, finally, allow yourself to experience each other, this community sitting right now. In this present moment. The Sangha of Aikido community is here right now, experiencing this connection together. And so for this year, as we think about a blessing to honor our training, Shugyo Tase Kigan Shiki, we want to include everyone. Our brothers, our sisters, our friends, our enemies. Just be calm. Just relax. There's no need to react. Everything's already done. You are the universe, and the universe is you. It's alive. It's palpable. It's a connection that sustains you at every moment. And now we can experience this together. So let's take 5 more minutes and just sit and experience the depth of this connection. Peace, joy, gratitude. Here we are right now, and it couldn't be any other way. I'd like to thank you for sharing this experience with me. Interesting thing, you know, I know for me, when I'm in Shavasana at the end of a yoga session, it takes me a moment to like come back. But the difference here is you should already be here. you know, it's different. So it's kind of like you're done meditating and it's like, okay, what's next? As opposed to kind of, wow, I'm so relaxed, I have to come back. And but I so enjoy that. Yoga, I mean, it's so incredibly relaxing. So I'd also like to thank Wolf Sensei again and all of the members of Northern Virginia Ki-Aikido. What a wonderful gift they gave us. And, you know, we're all experiencing this reality together. And I'm so glad that as a community growing and developing together, even beyond the borders of the Eastern Ki Federation, so many friends that I see here. Thank you for supporting the Merrifield Dojo that has a very rich and distinguished history that I honor. Two people, I always say Norma first, because everyone knows we love Norma. Norma and George Simcox. What beautiful people, and what a foundation they laid. And so my gratitude for everyone to participate and contribute. And Wolf Sensei, it's your show. Thank you for inviting me as a guest. And I encourage everyone to support the dojo, Northern Virginia. And I hope we can be back next year live and in person. And what I miss is hugging, like hugging people, you know, it's like, okay, COVID, you can't hug. It's like, you can't even shake hands. What's up with the elbow? I want to hug. So anyway, hopefully that'll be around the corner someday. So Wolf Sensei, I'll be quiet and just say thank you very much for joining me.
Actually, you were saying a lot of my very thoughts.
Yeah.
And I particularly enjoyed the idea of Sangha at the end, a word that I learned from my Aikikai friends. Awase also means connection and bringing us together as a community.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank all of the head instructors for getting their students out. I noticed quite a few of you here, and we really appreciate it. I also want to thank all of you who were able to make contributions. As I say that, I appreciate that some of you are having your own issues and keeping your own dojos open, and we respect that, and we're glad you made it anyway. And if you would like to still donate, you can do that at our website, novakiaikido.org, the website for our dojo, Northern Virginia Ki-Aikido. And on the it's on the home page. There's a donate button. It's very easy. novakiaikido.org. And we still a little bit short of our goal to survive through at least the summer. And we're hoping things will start to open up by then. We'll all be getting our vaccinations, and we hope that we'll all be. While we really enjoyed exploring the inner practices of Aikido, Ki-Aikido today, it will be great to also practice the physical practices and get back on the mat and move our bodies. So,
Yeah.
And we're very much looking forward to seeing you all next year, keeping our fingers crossed. And it's just been really great that all of this wouldn't have been possible without your good energy. One of the things, as Shaner Sensei was talking about, is I was able to open up the gallery mode and check out everybody meditating in the good energy that we were sharing. And I hope you all felt that too.
Oh, yes.
So,
Steve?
yes.
Does the P.O. box still work?
There's a new P.O. box. If you go to our contact page on our website, I don't have that right in front of me, but it is on the contact page. If you want to mail something in and use snail mail, which has been working pretty slowly lately, but it will get to us. I appreciate it, and we do accept checks, and which, by the way, we the PayPal link on the website does take a cut, so we actually get a little bigger share if you do send a check. So we encourage that.
Gotcha.
But this was all about the training and the inner practices, which we don't get enough of. And I was really grateful to have this opportunity to hear Shainer Sensei's input and to lead us through this very deep practice today. So thank you all very much. And as I ended my
Namaste.
practice before, namaste. Anybody else want to say a few words? You're welcome to do that at this time, or have questions for Shainer Sensei after that practice about what he was teaching. This would be a good time to do that.
Hi, Wolf Sensei. This is Derek Buttaker. How are you?
Hi, Derek.
Hi, Derek.
Buttaker Sensei.
I actually have a question for Shainer Sensei. So Wolf Sensei actually said, as you start the meditation, it's important to be comfortable, obviously keep good posture. But Shainer Sensei, as we started going into your guided walkthrough, which was wonderful, I was curious, what is the recommendation for people who have forms of chronic pain or maybe just injuries, where, for instance, sometimes I can meditate and I realize 20-30 minutes goes by and I'm feeling great. Other times my back decides to remind me that I have a herniated disc and I start to have some pain, and often my mind tends to go to the pain, but at the same time I'd obviously like to continue keep breathing, the meditation. And I know several people, including my wife, have chronic pain. So I guess my question is, how can they work towards this level of relaxation while still having, these distractions of pain, shall I say?
So change your posture so you're not in pain.
Sometimes that works.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's, unfortunately, so for instance, there's, I've spoken to my wife, she's in chronic pain. So she feels pain
So
24/7. What it is there, but I try to help her with relaxation
yeah.
methods such as this.
Well, the good news is we have a recorded 5-part series on self-care managing pain.
Agreed.
So, the simple question, and I didn't mean to be curt there, but you just change your posture. If you're sitting in a chair and suddenly that becomes uncomfortable, stand. I mean, there's nothing important about agora, seiza, in a chair, lying down. That's the most important thing, is just that you're unifying your mind and body. So if you are suffering from chronic pain, as I do, and as for those of you who don't know, there's on the EKF YouTube channel, I gave a 5-part series on self-care managing pain using key principles. But it's pain that's not just physical pain. It can be emotional pain, trauma, things that are in our life that show itself, that say hello, as manifesting themselves in pain. That is nociceptive pain. I can't do a short answer there, but I would say yes, for anyone who suffers from chronic pain, there are things you can do to minimize what I call then your as felt pain. And breathing, meditation are keys to developing the strength of your mind so that you can sustain that second order focus on something other than what's calling you. One of those third order arrows is saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. And that's your chronic pain. Toi Sensei broke his back too. Maybe some people don't know, he lived with a steel rod in his back the whole time that he taught when he founded the Ki Society in 1974. He already had that.
Hmm.
In fact, it was quite surprising once when, after Toi Sensei had passed away, and I was at Kinosato with Sachiko-san, and she said, "Do you want to see this pole?"
Oh,
I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "This is the steel rod that was in Toi Sensei's body." So, you know, in my case, it's this bone-on-bone ankle, but in everyone's cases, it's different. So the training is to learn how not to react. Now, pain is an important thing from an evolutionary standpoint. It's telling you something's wrong. So ignoring pain is not what I'm talking about. I'm very careful to say that. But the good news is I put a lot of time and attention and was teaching pilot groups for 2 years that I referenced during those sessions. So, Derek, I won't take up any more time in case other people have questions, but the short answer is change your posture so that when you are doing breathing and meditation, you are comfortable. If you are not comfortable, you're going to be in a third order mode, just thinking about your own comfort, and you're kind of wasting your time. So change your posture. With respect to chronic pain, it's not that I have all the answers, but I have over a 50-year journey myself, and key principles help a lot. So hopefully you can make use of that.
Thank you, Sensei.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Can I add a comment?
I have a question.
Okay, let me just say this quickly, and then because it's to do with Derek's question. George Sensei always said, take whatever it was and throw it in your one point and let it go away, dissipate.
Yeah. So he was referring to what Toi Sensei's, one of his childhood stories was almost like Aladdin and the lamp, but it was a childhood story in Japan of this box that you could throw anything into this box that you didn't like and it would go away. It was a childhood story, but Toi Sensei remembered it. And so he talked a lot about this magic pot being your one point. And you can throw anything that's undesirable into the one point, and then you combine that with chushuho or totsuho, half, 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 half. You just, in your own mind, you hold it, and then you just watch it dissipate by halves. Sometimes Toi Sensei would teach you're sitting there kokyudosa with somebody else that looks big and huge, and how can you possibly do it? They're so strong and they're high ranking, and I'm just this little mudansha, what can I do? But Toi Sensei would say, just in your mind's eye, take that person's body and go half, 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 half. Just take that whole image in your head that's causing such trauma and just make it go away. If they're not there, it's easy to move forward. So Toi Sensei was well aware that he's trying to teach you how to use your mind effectively. And Aikido is just a means of training how we respond to bumps in daily life. A bump can be nociceptive pain. A bump can be somebody's physical force. A bump can be you're going up against some emotional trauma that you haven't dealt with, that you might not even know is there. But when you do your breathing and meditation, those things begin to appear. Because the lake of your mind has become so calm, you can now see down to the bottom and you see the rocks, you see the stumbles, you see the things that heretofore were invisible because there was too many waves on the top of your pond. So this is a means of opening up very, very deeply. And the important thing is you can get a taste. You kind of fall into first order experience when you learn to do a second order experience so well. You've heard me explain this before. It's when did you learn how to drive a stick shift without thinking about it? You don't even know. It just happened. And in the same way, you can fall into first order experience by simply practicing Kino Shudenho, repeating, drilling, making a daily practice of breathing and meditation. And then in daily life, boom, you can switch it, flip a switch, and you know how to change your state completely. Of course, you have to want to. If you're upset, you don't want to. I got that. But as soon as you can find it possible to keep one point, boom, you change your state. And you can do this. The more and more you get in touch with deep calmness, and all it is a process of third order to second order to first order. And I didn't really understand the gravity of that image that Toi Sensei helped me to develop when I was living with him, working on my dissertation. And for him, I was trying to figure out what are all these Buddhist texts, and then the language seems so colorful and flowery. I don't understand, Sensei. And he'd say, it's like this. And it's like, oh, okay. So breathing meditation every day. Kirsten, I think you had
I'm sorry, I sort of interrupted. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, quite all right. Thank you, Sensei. So my question is around ki breathing. So I noticed that when you were guiding us through just now, the instruction was let the eyes remain open. So half closed, but open. And what I'm recalling, correctly or incorrectly, is that in ki breathing, the eyes are closed. So why the difference, and why might we use one or the other for a particular student or for a particular purpose?
This is so easy. The short answer is you're mistaken. When you do ki breathing and ki meditation, Toi Sensei had a term, it's a very famous term in Japan, but it's called merciful eyes. The eyes are half open. The reason is you don't want to cut yourself off and start envisioning other worlds, other things. You want to be here now. So an easy way to remember that is if you ever see statues in Japan of the Buddha, an enlightened person, you'll always notice that the eyes are half open. So it looks like the eyelids are closed, but not all the way. And so when Toi Sensei would explain that, he'd say, yes, because you want to be very present right here, right now. You want to feel the humidity in the room. You want to be aware that when you slow yourself down, suddenly the sounds of the street or your air conditioner or the clock in the room suddenly becomes loud, but it was always there. You just got out of your own way. Well, understanding the depth of your connection to the universe is like that. It's there happening right now. You can't help it. You can't undo it. But what you can do is begin to learn to get out of your own way. And so to do that, you want to be here and now. And that's why the image that Toi Sensei, and he writes about it, is he calls it merciful eyes, have merciful eyes. In fact, one of the 10 characteristics there of developing a life with ki is having merciful eyes, have a soft and composed manner. In other words, don't be reactive. Easy.
Thank you so much, Sensei. I'll practice.
Toi Sensei always said, yeah, I love these English expressions. Easy. It's just like you have to be able to do it, not just say it. So he loved that one. How about this one? I caught a cold. He looked at me and said, why do you want to catch one? I always throw them away. Anyway. So it's almost time here. Thank you very much. If no one has a question, Sally, you want to maybe you have announcements, Sally, Radim, Steve.
Well, actually, I had I don't know if it's a comment or question on the ki meditation. And I've had ki meditation explained to me many, many times. And something that was brand new to me this time, because I would think of getting bigger and, the universe, et cetera, and, the solar system, et cetera, et cetera. But in the process of doing that, I was thinking. I was separating because of the visual of that thought of it being bigger and bigger. And the same with going small with the atoms and the electrons, etc. Maybe because I studied physics, so those are really concrete things for me.
Yeah.
But what was different this time was to go so big, and then your comment, your statement that it becomes so big you can't comprehend it anymore, and then it's like throwing it away.
Yes.
Both at the large,
Yes.
the universe large, and also the very small. And that was very different for me today, and I appreciate that you shared that with us.
Well, that's a huge takeaway, because what people get hung up on the road getting really big or really small, but it's the destination. When you do kakodai ho, chushu ho, in my mind, I just go, and there's no reason to do all this bigness, smallness, because when you can't conceive of anything smaller than the smallest thing you can consciously think about, that's the X after the arrow, let that go. That's the whole point. And when you get so big, you can't conceive of anything bigger, let the feeling continue. And at that moment, you realize infinite smallness and infinite largeness is the same. And you also realize this is just a pedagogical tool. He's not talking about ontology here, trying to do physics. He's saying, I'm going to help you get out of your own way by creating a dynamic object of meditation, like a mantra, a mudra, a mandala, but we're going to do it this way by focusing on breath and this mind that can never reach zero. Once there's one, it's always divisible by half. One never becomes zero. So whether you're talking about one blade of grass, one person, or one representing the whole interconnected universe, everything else is just imagery to help you move from a third to a second to a first order mode. Because in a first order mode, you're not conceptualizing anything. You have dropped the subject object habit that probably has been, not probably, that is in all of our minds since birth. We come out and the world is like, first we make the mother sound, ah, we take our first breath. And then we start interpreting the world as though I'm in here and the world is out there and I'm trying to make sense of it. And we do that from as soon as we're born. But in reality, we're only seeing it through the window of our senses. And our senses is just that, our senses. It's not the whole of reality. The key of the universe is what's sustaining your existence.
Now, what can you say after that? That pretty much summarizes the whole day right there. Well, I almost hate to say goodbye to everyone. I'm sitting here looking at you and feel sad about it, letting go of this good energy and this beautiful day that we shared together. But unless anyone has any final comments.
I have one comment that's, I want to thank all of the people, the head instructors and senior advisors and co-head instructors that I made 30 appointments over the last 2 weeks, spending an hour with each of you. And I wanted to say I learned a lot. I appreciate your feedback, especially when I ask you the question, how can I serve your needs better? How can I supply better and better training that meets your needs? And I will share with you that I have a ton of information and notes. I just finished up on Friday, and then that was yesterday. So I thought, well, I'll just focus on today and training. So starting tomorrow, I'll be putting together my notes, and the whole purpose of that was to get feedback on how can we put our best foot forward in the next year. How do we want to handle our Zoom classes for EKF that's different. We are going to focus on Kino Shuden Ho. So that seemed like a popular idea. And so I'll be sending out information about the next training in the coming weeks. And I'm very excited about it. And the main point is thank you very much for your input. It gave me lots of ideas. So thank you.
So again, thank you, Sensei, for supporting our dojo and supporting the Eastern Ki Federation and all of us with this great practice today.
Thank you. And thank you for your teaching. I think everyone enjoyed it a lot.
It is strange doing this on Zoom, but I could kind of see you guys practicing with me, which makes me feel I'm not sitting here talking to myself. I know Shainer Sensei expressed concern about that too. Sometimes it does feel like we're sitting here talking to ourselves. But it was great to share this practice with you. So I'm going to end our session. And arigato, domo arigato gozaimashita.